Hello, my astrology friends. Good morning. Once again, I come with a new video. This time, I'm going to talk a bit about the upcoming Neptune in Aries transit. This very important transit will happen just one day after the solar eclipse, partial solar eclipse in Aries. So this transit is important because Neptune is a generational planet. It's a planet that will take a long time to stay and or transit in one sign. In this case, Neptune will move from its home sign, which is Pisces, which also is the last of the 12 zodiac sign, and will move into the first sign of Aries, the sign of the beginning. This mark a very profound start to a new cycle, and Neptune in Aries will show us the way. In fact, Saturn later, a few months after this transit, will also join Neptune in Aries. So this is part of a very important transit for this year and also next year. Neptune is the planet of spirituality. It's also the planet of illusions. It's also the planet where we connect to the divine. It's a planet that has two very polarizing sides. On the one hand, this is a planet of ultimate beauty, the planet of ultimate surrender, the planet of ultimate connectedness. And it is also the planet where we can see the miracles of the universe. This is the representation of Neptune. But on the other hand, Neptune can be a nightmare. It's a planet where we cannot see clearly. Everything dissolves. Everything is hidden from us. It's like a fog. This is also the planet where we can lose ourselves to the point where we become less human. Yes, Neptune can actually turn us from a very human, from a very passionate person, to a very delusional person that we lost our sense of humanity. This is what Neptune can bring about. So we have to be very mindful of this transit. It is also a very long transit, roughly 1.5 decades in the future. So I will explain briefly about what could happen to each rising signs, what could happen to each rising signs, what Neptune could bring to them, and which part of their chart that Neptune will activate during this transit. Okay guys, this is my 12 signs prediction and explanation. Okay, for the first sign, we're going to go to Aries. For Aries, this Neptune transit will happen in your first house. The most correct one would be Aries rising, followed by Aries sun and Aries moon. First house is yourself, your physical body, your aura, your presentation. This is it. When Neptune is here, Neptune will dissolve your sense of self, but at the same time, it will glamorize your sense of self to others. Right? The most famous example of this, when Neptune is, she has Neptune in the first house by natal, but we can also use that as an example. It would be Marilyn Monroe. Her Neptune is in Leo, but it's in her first house. So she can glamorize herself in the front of others, but for herself, right? She kind of lost the sense of who she is. This is what could happen to you, Aries. But of course, the expression is going to be different because Leo and Aries, even though both are fire signs, the expression is different. Aries is more like a warrior type, the go-getter type, the me type. So those kind of things could be dissolved. But at the same time, Aries could attract other influence from other people because Neptune will dissolve the boundaries of the self, the first house. So Aries, maybe you could look more glamorous to others, but at the same time you could lose the sense of yourself with Neptune. But be mindful, but be careful because of that. But at the same time you also have this tremendous power to really spiritualize yourself, because the first self is the body, to really spiritualize your personality, to make your personality connected directly to the universe. Miracles, right? Because Neptune is miracles. So you can connect more to the divine with this transit. Okay, let's go to the next sign. For the next sign, we will go to Taurus. This will be more correct if you have Taurus rising, followed by Taurus sun and Taurus moon. Okay, for Taurus, Neptune will transit your 12th house. 12th house is the natural house of Neptune. So this is going to be quite a good transit for you, Taurus. The one thing that instantly came up to my mind when it comes to Neptune transit 12th house is that more sleep. More sleep, more imagination. They're going to be treasure in your dreams. So pay attention to your dreams, Taurus. But at the same time, Neptune, 12th house, rule things that have very strong connection to your mental health. So watch out also for your mental health, for your mental clarity, Taurus. And the key here is just to surrender mentally. Surrender mentally to the universe. This is the key for you, Taurus, with the transit of Neptune. For the third house, we will go to Gemini. For Gemini rising, the most correct one, followed by Gemini sun and Gemini moon, Neptune transit will transit your 11th house. This is about friendships, hopes and dreams, networking. This is also about your gains. This is also a financial house. So Neptune will dissolve or will add a rose-colored glasses to your 11th house things. Remember, 11th house includes friendship. So you could gain a more spiritual friends, spiritual connections, or will add a bit of glamour to your friends or your connection. But at the same time, be careful, because Neptune could hide. Neptune could manipulation could also part of the Neptunian things. Neptune could also blur your boundaries in terms of friendship. So you might attract those in your connection, social media, also part of the 11th house, friendship, that look really glamorous, really great on the outside. But it turns out this person could really jeopardize you, or could really take advantage of you, or this person could breach your trust, could breach your boundaries, because Neptune is that. No boundaries whatsoever. So you have to be careful. You can be disillusioned by your friends, by your connection. So my advice here for Gemini, because of this Neptune transit in the 11th house, be very mindful to whom you connected with. Whether it's social media, especially when it comes to social media, because 11th house is also social media, be careful, because you can attract people that is disingenuous, people that could lie to you when it comes to this transit. Also be careful for your friends. You can have great experience here if you allow Neptune to do its job, meaning that adding more spirituality, adding more depth, adding more emotional connection to you in terms of your 11th house. Okay, for the next sign, we'll go to Cancer. Okay, for Cancer, will be more correct if you have Cancer rising, followed by Cancer sun and Cancer moon. For you, this transit will happen in your 10th house. Okay, Neptune on the angle. In this case, 10th house is important, so pay attention. 10th house is your career, it's your public image, it's the thing that you put out there, it's also your legacy. So if you have Neptune here, the best expression of Neptune in the 10th house is that you can be famous. Simple as that. Famous, but in a very glamorous, very good way. Yes, that's the best example of Neptune in 10th house. But at the same time, the worst expression of Neptune in the 10th house is that Neptune can dissolve your career. Neptune can make people confused of who you are in terms of the image or the persona that you project. Because 10th house, it's a bit similar to the first house, but first house is the instant projection from your physical body, your aura. But 10th house is the projection that you project to the universe through your work, through things that you have done. Okay, it's calculated projection. So when you have Neptune here, people will be confused. Are you an angel or are you a demon? Are you good or are you bad? That's the worst thing. That is one of the worst aspects of Neptune in the 10th house. They're confused of you. But if you play your card carefully, mindfully, Neptune in the 10th house can make you very famous. And people will know what your stands for. Neptune in 10th house, because of course 10th house is also related to career. You can also have a career that have strong correlation to Neptune. For example, entertainment industry that involve creativity, music, dancing, stuff like that. So just pay attention and use Neptune to your advantage instead of Neptune dissolving and end up using you. Okay, Cancer, let's go to the next sign. Next sign, where we'll go to Leo. For Leo, Neptune will transit your 9th house. This is actually quite a good transit because 9th house is the house of, people say the house of God, the house of religion, the house of the spiritual things, together with the 12th also. 9th house is also a lucky house. So if Neptune transit here, Neptune could expand your horizon into a boundaryless realm when it comes to spirituality, when it comes to God, religion. It also a very good transit if you want to write a book, a fiction, a book that is filled with fantasies, like Harry Potter, for example. But Harry Potter is a bit dark, right? Neptune is not a dark energy. It's more like fantasy, like a unicorn, stuff like that. Not only that, Neptune together with Jupiter also have a good connection with things that are foreign, right? So this is a foreign house that has to do with foreign things, the 9th house, and Neptune is also a planet that has something to do with things that are foreign, but more like foreign and a bit strange. It also has to do with, charity. Neptune is also charity. Neptune is also things that correlated to people that need help. So you can, if I were you, I would try to expand my experience to things like the United Nations, for example, right? Helping people outside your country that needs help, charities, stuff like that. Neptune is also going to enhance your experience in terms of the bigger picture. 9th house is the house of the bigger picture, right? The higher minds. With Neptune here, Neptune will add a bit of imagination to it, a bit of fantasy to it. So it's a good thing, right? On the downside is that Neptune could make you behave like a religious zealot if you're not careful, because Neptune is spirituality, Aries is warrior, 9th house is religion. So be careful. That's one of the example of the lower frequencies of Neptune, Aries in the 9th house. Okay, for the next sign we will go to Virgo. Virgo, Neptune transiting Aries will happen in your 8th house. Okay, this will be more correct if you have Virgo rising, but you can also use this for Virgo sun and Virgo moon. Neptune transiting 8th house is a bit strange, to be honest, because 8th house is the house of secrets. It's the house of the dark things. It's the house of things that you buried. It's also things that are buried below the ground. It's also the house of money, investments, other people's money. It's the house of death. It's the house of the dark magic. It's the house of the occult. It's the house of sex, right? So Neptune transiting here could tear down the boundaries of those things, right? Eighth house is the literal house of boundaries. This is the house that is so associated with control that boundaries are here. There's a very strong correlation with boundaries. Do not touch things. That's the eighth house. It's also the house of troubles and chaos. It's also the house of transformations. This is the house of the unexpected things. So when Neptune goes here, Neptune blurs the boundaries or your perception regarding those things. So if you have money on the stock exchange, be careful, because Neptune could blur your boundaries on that. When it comes to intimacy, Neptune could also blur your boundary on that. You can be a victim, because Neptune is the planet that symbolizes victimhood. So you can be a victim. You also have to be careful. Eighth house is the house of magic. Dark energies is also the house of the occult. Occult can be good or bad, depending on who's using it, right? Depending on the purpose. But Neptune here can dissolve that boundaries. It seems that your protection can be destroyed, or your protection can be slowly eroded. So you have to be careful here, Virgo. Not to mention, this is in the sign of Aries, a fire sign, a sign that has nothing to do with you. This 8th house and 6th house in conjunct your sign. So you also have to get extra careful for this. The good thing about Neptune in the 8th house is that you can really go spiritual in terms of your 8th house matters. Remember, 8th house rules psychology. 8th house rules your subconscious. You can go very spiritual on that. You can connect more to the divine, to God, on those matters. So it will help you, but you also have to be aware that Neptune could confuse you on terms of the 8th house things. Money, intimacy, and also control, transformation. You have to be careful. Neptune will also help you in some ways in terms of the 8th house, because 8th house is the house of crisis. Neptune could help you in a way that you don't have to be so controlling anymore, because the 8th house is the house of control. You don't have to be so controlling anymore. Just let go. That is the good expression of Neptune in the 8th house. Okay, for the next sign, we will go to Libra. Libra, Neptune in Aries will happen in your 7th house. For Libra, this is a bit unique. Why? Because you are the original sign of the 8th house. Of the 7th house, right? Libra, Neptune in Aries will transit your 7th house, not 8th house. So Libra, you are the original ruler of the 7th house. You know what 7th house is all about. With Neptune here, your definition or sense of security in terms of 7th house things will be dissolved, right? So you cannot see things clearly. The good side is that 7th house is the house of marriage. The good side to this is that your ideal perfect partner could come to you, literally. The one that you wish for, you dreamt for, will come to you, literally. But on the flip side of Neptune transiting your 7th house is that you can be disillusioned by your partner, that you could end up being basically your partner is not what he or she is. So you have this perception of your partner, but it turns out that's not who she is, that's not who he was. I mean, Neptune could create that. Neptune could cloud it. Neptune could cloud your perception, your imagination, your eyes. Neptune could cloud your mind regarding your partners, regarding your marriage. So you have to be very careful who you choose to be in a serious relationship when it comes to Neptune in the 7th house. I've seen this in charts of my clients. He and she or she has Neptune natal on the 7th house. The marriage went perfect, smooth. And then several years down the road, he or she, they don't recognize their partner. that partner turns out to be very abusive, very deceptive. So this is the example of Neptune transit in the 7th house. The good side is that you could have a partner that is truly what you want, what you need. A partner that is connecting to you on spiritual level. A partner that is very compassionate to you. A partner that is very understanding. Those are Neptune qualities. So you have to be very careful, mindful. My advice is that for Libra that have Neptune transiting their 7th house is that pick your partner carefully. Not just marriage partner, but also business partners, because this is also the house of business partnership. Pick them very carefully, because Neptune will blur everything out. So you have to be very mindful. Okay, Libra, let's go to the next sign. For the next sign, we will go to Scorpio. For Scorpio, Neptune will transit your 6th house. This will be very true for Scorpio rising, but you can also use this if you have Scorpio sun or Scorpio moon. 6th house is the house of daily routines, work, jobs, health, pets, and those that are the mundane day-to-day tasks. Neptune here, Neptune will create some glamorization, but also Neptune could suck the energy of you, from you, because Neptune, the effect of Neptune, it is like it can make you a bit lazy if you're not careful, because the energy is just so, have no boundaries whatsoever, that it dissipates like a fog. So something very strange could happen to your health if you're not careful, right? It can make you also very dreamy, but also a bit lazy, or a bit, you don't have any energy to do your everyday task, to do your job. That's what I'm trying to say. So you have to be very regimented regarding your health, regarding your jobs, day-to-day activities, right? I'm not saying that you have to do this immediately. No, because Neptune transit is long, more than a decade. So step by step, regimented your health. You can basically you have to be a bit detailed, because the 6th house is the house of details. So use that detail-oriented, regimented orientation of the 6th house to help encounter the negative influence of Neptune. The positive influence of Neptune is that your health now will be directly correlated or have good connection with your spirituality, your heart, and your compassion. So practice compassion, practice spirituality. If you're religious as a person, good, because Neptune requires that for it to function properly. So the 6th house is the house of health. Now Neptune will infuse its energy towards your health, or it will infuse Neptunian quality in regards to your health. So your health will now depends on your heart, your emotions, and also your spirituality and your connection to the divine. And at the same time, your work could also involve those things, because Neptune is in the 6th house, the house of work. You can literally work in things that have to do with creativity. Neptune is creativity, or that has to do with spirituality. Okay, Scorpio, that's the example for you. Let's go to the next sign. For the next sign, we will go to Sagittarius. For Sagittarius, Neptune will be in your 5th house. Hooray! This is a very good house for Neptune. 5th house is the house of creativity, fun, happiness. Is also the house of children. This is the house where you feel very, very happy in your life. Basically, it's your inner child. Neptune is creativity. Neptune could also be playfulness, right? If you use it in the right way. So if you want to be an artist, whatever it is, famous or not, this is the time. You have more than a decade to achieve your dreams in creativity. Neptune in the 5th house is very, very good. If you want to do dancing, movies, acting, anything creative, even if you want to pursue things that are Hollywood in nature, yes, you can do it, because Neptune is going to be in your 5th house. house of creativity. This is also the house of children, right? So pay attention to your children. When you have Neptune in the fifth house, your connection with your children can be a bit blurry, so you have to be careful. This could also, on the negative side, Neptune is addiction, fifth house is children. On the negative side, I'm not saying that this is going to be true, but on the negative side, some addiction could come to your children, so pay attention, right? But for the most part, Neptune in the fifth house, good transit. Lucky for you, Sagittarius. Okay, for the next sign, we will go to Capricorn. For Capricorn, Neptune transiting your fourth house, Aries. This will be correct if you have Capricorn rising, but you can also use this if you have Capricorn sun or Capricorn moon. So Neptune transiting in the fourth house. Something confusing could happen in your family. It's as simple as that. Neptune is confusion, illusion, dissolving of boundaries. Fourth house is family. It also, something confusing could also happen to your mother. If that is the case, I would say more to the realm of health. Something confusing happening to your mother figures in terms of her health. But in general, your home life could be very spiritual, very beautiful, very artistic, very creative. But on the downside is that something in your home life, in your home, right? Because fourth house is your home, house even. Something confusing happening there. The dynamics of the families can be confusing. So, or there's something that is very strange in terms of otherworldly realm, because Neptune is also the planets that symbolize the boundaries between this dimension, our dimension, and other dimensions. So you have to be careful, right? So when it comes to your home, your house, your family, I advise you, if you have a house, I advise you to, for example, if you want to buy a new house, Neptune is transiting your fourth house, I would basically ask you to pay attention to the energies of this new place that you're going to live. Cleanse it. So weekly or monthly home cleansing or cleansing of the house from bad energies could also be an example of what to do when you have Neptune transit the fourth house, because Neptune is very absorbent. It will absorb energies, whether it's good or bad, and it's in the fourth house, the house of your home, your mother, your foundation. So if bad energy is approaching this place, then Neptune will absorb it, so you have to be careful. The one thing that immediately struck me when Neptune in the fourth house is that, like, I don't want to scare you, it's like bad energy is coming to your home. Bad energy is coming to your place. So you have to be careful, be mindful. But on the good side of Neptune in the fourth house, your house can be really beautiful, very creative. Your house is filled with creativity and spirituality. That's the very high octave of Neptune transiting your fourth house. Okay, for the 11th sign, we will go to Aquarius. Will be very correct if you have Aquarius rising, followed by Aquarius sun, Aquarius moon. Okay, for Aquarius, Neptune will transit your third house. This is about your siblings, your communication, your skills. This is about also your immediate surroundings. This is also about your vehicles, your short travel. So Neptune here could bring something spiritual, also fantasy-wise. It could also bring something spiritual, something that has to do with fantasy, imagination, creativity in terms of your communication, right? In terms of your skills, this is also a good transit if you want to publish a book, just like Neptune transit the 9th house, because both are connected to skills, communication, and also writing. This also has a connection with social media, just like the 11th house. And this also can be a good transit if you want to do a creative works that has good connection, to communication, just like the Neptune transit in the 5th house. So communication, skills, and imagination. That's the three keywords for this transit in the third house. Neptune in the third house can make you a very good fiction writer, right? You could create a very imaginative, like Alice in Wonderland kind of thing with your communication or your skills or your writing skills. Neptune also can make you confused about your communication. So the downside with Neptune transiting your third house is that Neptune is foggy. Your mind could be foggy right now. You could forget things regarding to your third house. Third house is also the house of the lower mind. So the details of things, the details of your life, the details of your skill. When you want to learn something, you have to remember. Sometimes you have to remember details. Neptune could dissolve that. You could not remember the details. So my advice, the downside of the transit is that you could forget things. The good side is that you can be very imaginative, very spiritual in terms of your third house matters. So if you forget things, write it down. Document it. Third house is also your vehicles, your short travel, and also your siblings. Neptune could also influence those things. For example, your connection with your siblings can be confusing at times, so you have to be mindful of that, right? And also your vehicles. Neptune could do something strange to your vehicles, because I've seen this. One of my clients have Neptune natal in the third house. Every time he buy new vehicles, whether it's a brand new or not a brand new one, something strange happened to that vehicle. He ends up have to churn out more money to repair it. So you have to be careful with that. Not only that, third house is also the house of your short travel, like commute, for example, commute for work. So you have to be mindful in terms of your commute, because Neptune could cause you to lose concentration. So you have to be mindful of those things. You have to be mindful of those things. Okay, Aquarius, let's go to the next sign. For the next sign, or the last sign, we will go to Pisces. Pisces, Neptune will transit your second house. This will be very true for Pisces rising, but you can also use this if you have Pisces sun or Pisces moon. Okay, Neptune is one of your rulers. Pisces, you have two rulers. One is Neptune, the modern ruler, and the other one is Jupiter. Okay, for Pisces, one of your rulers will be in your second house. This is the house of money, right? The house of resource. Generally, can be a good time, but we have to be mindful. This is Neptune we're talking about. Neptune dissolves things. Neptune will cause confusions, and in this case, it will cause confusions in terms of your money. I have seen this. So many of my clients have this Neptune on their natal chart in the second house. Even though some of my clients are very rich, they cannot track their spending. They spend millions of rupiahs on buying things that end up not being used, or useless things, and they end up scratching their heads. What have I done to my money? This is the negative sides of Neptune in the second house. Impulsive spending, right? They don't know what to do with their money. They lost all of their money because they recklessly spend it on things that are not necessarily useful to them. So you have to be mindful, Pisces, when Neptune transit your second house. The other downside to Neptune transit your second house is that your health now directly connected to the food that you ingest, the food that you consume, because second house is originally the house of Taurus. Taurus is connected to food and also the neck in health astrology. So you have to be mindful of your food. If you can, consume food that are pure, right? That are organic if you can, or just please do not consume alcohol if you can. Do not do drugs. Yeah? Do not consume things that are addictive in nature. Right? So that's my advice if you have Neptune in the second house. The good side of Neptune in the second house is that second house is the house of your resources. Neptune now can be your resource to create more money. Neptune is imagination, fantasy, spirituality. You can use those things to increase your money, your wealth. And as a Pisces rising, or Pisces sun or Pisces moon, you already have creativity built in to you, because Pisces is creativity. So use that to your advantage to make more money.